The research is clear. For young people in the LGBTQI+ community, mental health challenges are all too common. Today's guest on You're a Good Kid is Sean Szeps, the lovable author and self-described DILF, Dad I Like to Follow, with a dedicated audience of over 500,000 fans. Sean's story is so powerful in highlighting not only the heartbreaking impact of stigma and judgment on a young person's identity, but it's also an inspiring example of courage in the pursuit of self-acceptance, silliness, and joy. Nick, there is a huge amount of silliness and joy in our household in the mornings. My girls are massive fans of Sean, and they love watching his YouTube shorts, which are so funny about family life and being a dad. So yeah, I think they're more excited about this episode than any we've done so far.
Yeah, good. Well, admittedly, I'm a fan as well. He's a DILF for me. What a weird word. He's also a beautiful storyteller. So I've just finished his memoir as well. Yeah. The comedy is there, but also just emotionally engaging, beautiful storytelling. And also, you know, he did have a hard time of it. So there's some heavy themes that we cover today as well. Mm-hmm. Bit of warning for our listeners, we do cover some self-harm and also some suicidal ideation in this chat.
Yeah, unfortunately, those are, you know, all too common experiences for people in this community, but we will link into some support services in the show notes and at the end of the episode for anyone who's going through that or knows someone who is. But Nick, I just think it was such a pleasure to talk to Sean for a number of reasons. But one is just to have a story like this on our podcast of a young person who overcame so much in coming out and finding his true self and his confidence and his joy. So let's get into it. You're a Good Kid is recorded on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and is supported by Engage One-on-One Psychology, helping people engage with life.
This podcast discusses mental health-related themes that may be triggering for some listeners. If anything in the episode causes distress, please contact your health professional, or if urgent, call Lifeline on 13 11 14.
My name is James Van Kuylenberg. I'm a clinical psychologist, and together with my brother Nick, we're going to hear stories from a diverse range of people about how their childhoods have shaped them.
Our guests are invited to share a photo of themselves as kids, which you can see by following the link in the show notes. And at the end of each episode, you'll hear them read a letter to their child selves.
If you could say anything to your child self, what would you say?
Welcome to You're a Good Kid. Sean Szeps was born in 1988 and grew up in the northeast of the United States, in what he describes as the often forgotten and overlooked state of New Hampshire.
The most exciting thing New Hampshire had was the man on the mountain, and then the man fell off the mountain, and so now we have nothing. I thought of the childhood as quaint. I think of New Hampshire as simple, outdoorsy, beautiful, quiet.
For his first 10 years, Sean lived in the city of Concord, and then later in a small town called Bow, which he describes as the quintessential American small town.
Football players, cheerleaders, nerds, theater kids, like everything you've ever thought of in a movie is absolutely the childhood I had. There was no exaggeration from the movies that you've seen.
Sean grew up as the eldest of 3 children, 2 years older than his brother Stephen and 4 years older than his sister Samantha. All of the names in Sean's family begin with an S.
My mom is Sally, my dad is Steve. Our pets were Secret and Sace and Snickers. We were the S family. All the boys have J middle names. Like, we are so American, it physically hurts.
Sean describes his younger brother Stephen as his protector, a very masculine and loving younger brother who helped to keep Sean safe at school. He describes his little sister Samantha as the toughest, most athletic, and most interesting of all the kids.
And we really, really get along. The three of us have always gotten along. Maybe a little bit religion, maybe a little bit tough parents who wouldn't have allowed it any other way, but we still to this day are really, really close.
Sean's mother was Cuban and his father Italian. Both were passionate, creative, loving, and fully committed to the family unit.
She is a matriarch, and he is the perfect support system to her dominant role in my entire childhood. She really was what many people had in a father. She played that role. She really ran the show. And he, for the man of his time, was empathetic, loving, supportive, did the dishes, cooked, cleaned. And so I had an untraditional kind of balance in comparison to a lot of my friends.
The other defining feature of Sean's childhood was Christianity. His family, friends, and entire community were all connected through the church. While this religious upbringing would cause Sean significant distress and pain in his teenage years, he remembers the early years in the church with great fondness.
I really loved the routine, the simplicity of that routine, the comfort of I know where I'm going on Wednesdays, I know where I'm going on Sundays, I know what it feels like to sing, I know the security of all the answers that you could ever have as a kid coming directly from one book and one voice. And so I really do think of those first 10 years as it being a really beautiful thing for me.
Sean Szeps, welcome to our show. It's such an honor to have you here. I've had the best time over the last week just deep diving into your backstory as much as I could find. I've just finished your most wonderful memoir. Loving getting to know you, but I have a bone to pick. I have also heard a song that you've written recently, and I cannot get it out of my head. I'm finding it a bit annoying.
Mission accomplished.
Do you know which song he's referring
It's
to?
only It's Poo Time. There's no other one
Oh my God.
that you can be talking about.
Should we cue the clip?
I think so.
No.
Can we play a little bit? Yeah, let's go.
I think it's poo time, number 2 time. Better hurry before it's too late. Got a feeling in my tummy, straight to my bummy. I don't think I can wait. Is that a 2? I better scoot to the loo before I find out my fate. I think it's poo time, number 2 time. Now I'm rushing like I'm late to the gate.
It's a banger.
So what is going on there? I cannot get it out of my head, and I've been thinking about your beautiful story and then at the same time just hearing this soundtrack.
My brand is silly. Like that is what I do every day is I rise to the occasion for parents and I try really, really hard to make what is very difficult parenthood as funny as possible through incredibly relatable moments. And one of the parts of parenting that is hilarious is having kids that are obsessed with poop. They talk about it, they sing it, it's just constant.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make music that kids actually wanted to listen to that made them giggle. And so when I got together with Josh Pike, who produced it, he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to do a poop song, a fart song, a burp song. I just want to do songs that I would have loved to have listened to that my parents never would have. So that's what that is.
I've got this image of you receiving your Lifetime Achievement Award as an old man, walking up onto stage and the orchestra is playing poop song, like to get you up there.
I hope so.
Legacy. My daughter is 6 and she is currently obsessed with poo. I tell her a story every night. It has to have poo in it.
It must. And then
Otherwise,
as a parent,
it's not funny.
you just start slipping poop into things
Right.
randomly,
Right.
figuring out what rhymes with it in songs and realizing, wait, it is funny.
Yeah.
It always has been. And they beat us out of it into adulthood to try to tell us it wasn't, but it is.
Well, this song is about to be a massive hit at our house. I can tell you right now.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone stop listening. Go to Spotify.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So great to
I'm
have
so
you here.
excited.
But we're not here just to talk about poo. We would love to hear your entire story.
Let's do it.
Now, we often start with a photo that helps us tell a story. Did you happen to bring any with you today?
I did.
So what age were you thinking of when you were deciding on photos?
I wanted specifically this image. I knew exactly what it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing some wonderful work with a therapist for the last couple of years. And part of that work is to isolate a moment in time that is just joy, where there was no restrictions, where there was no self-censoring, where there was no fear or concern. And when I think of who that boy was, this is the picture that kind of comes up.
What a brilliant photo. Look
He
at that.
is a doll. He is an actual porcelain doll. I was a dancer my entire life. I started dancing right away. Tap, jazz, ballet, lyrical, gymnastics, hip hop, everything. And by the time I was 10, 7 days a week vibes. It was a huge part of my life that felt very natural to me.
Yeah.
My mom says dancing right away, right away. She also says she knew I was gay right away. So maybe there's some overlap there. But when I think of this photo, I just think of everything was pretty hard from 10 on. But when I think of this boy, I'm like, oh, you didn't know yet. You were just having so much fun. It didn't matter. Bullying didn't exist. People didn't think dancing was for gay kids. People didn't make fun of boys who danced. It was just like, that's the thing Sean really likes to do. And I look at that smile and I think of that pose and the little outfit and I'm like, the good old days.
Just describe this picture for our listeners who can't see it.
So I am against a white gray backdrop. I'm wearing what can best be described as like shiny plastic, bright blue 90s windbreaker pants, tap shoes at the bottom, a white kind of boiler hat, which I know was plastic. Everything's so shiny. If you were a dancer in the 80s and 90s, you're like, yeah, I can smell it. I can taste it. I can feel it on my skin. I'm sweating profusely. And then I have a blue, sparkly bow tie. And like my face, which I know has no makeup on it, looks like it does. Like just rosy cheeks, plump little face I loved to eat, blonde bowl cut that my mom absolutely cut that morning with a bowl. Probably the popcorn bowl that also was a vomit bowl.
Yeah.
And it looks like I have like rougey red lipstick on. It's just, to me, it brings me so much joy.
Yeah.
And at this stage in my life, I will often, when I need to, try to revisit it and then like reclaim a little bit of that and bring it into my adulthood life.
I'm trying to bring that alive in my mind. What is the song that you think you were dancing to there?
Oh, I know. Walking on sunshine. Whoa. That one.
Do you remember the moves?
No, but if you need me to dance, I could.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
I love that perspective of the pre-cynical filter. There was, just a purity about that.
Yeah.
So when you were dancing without any care in the world, what do you remember that feeling like?
I have always moved. It is the most natural thing for me to do. I can't help it. When I'm nervous, I move my shoulders and I tap my feet. When I'm excited, I move my shoulders and I tap my feet. And from a very, very young age, music, whether it came directly from church or Disney, it was just inside of me and I couldn't sit still. And it felt like just a natural expression. And at such a young age, to find other people who liked what I liked, and at the time, so many boys, to like discover play really is what it was all about. Like just like self-expression and play and experimentation. When I like think back to that time in my life, I can smell the room and the floors and the confidence. It was also the first time ever that someone looked me in the eyes and was like, you're really good at this. And it always, always, always felt as good as church, as good as being at home, as good as a great meal. Like being there was the best. And to this day, like when I'm dancing, I am absolutely my happiest.
We grew up in a churchy house. So tell us, what was that whole belief system and structure like for you as a kid? What do you remember experiencing and feeling about it?
I grew up in the Roman Catholic Church. I grew up very much in a community of people who went to the same church. So when I think of my neighbors and I think of trick-or-treating and walking down the streets, it's like church, church, church. We went every Sunday for Mass. I was a Eucharistic minister. I was a member of the choir. I was a member of the theater group. We had all of our birthday parties there. We were like a church family. I have always thought of my parents as, quote, good Catholics, in the sense that they brought the best of it into our home and they kept the worst of it out. And what I mean by that is it was treat people the way you want to be treated at all costs, be polite, take care of other people, look out for homeless, don't be mean, we don't talk behind people's backs. That was kind of the ethos of my childhood, and I think it really shaped my character. I'm still the person who like stops and lets every single car through because that's what God would have done. All the bad stuff.
I wonder what car God would be driving.
That's a really good question. Yeah. Probably a 94 Volvo. Okay. Really safe. But yeah, I think it was wonderful. I liked getting dressed up each Sunday and heading out there. I enjoyed the routine of memorizing songs. And when you're so young, you have all these questions about the world. You don't understand things and you don't have a lot of power. But then every Sunday you're going to this place and it's here are the songs and here's when you say certain words and you start to build confidence in that routine and the repetition. And then you start to feel mature and connected to something. And for me, that's where I found my voice and my love for singing. And so
what's the music scene like in the Catholic Church?
We were a part of that transition occurring in the 90s, which definitely made its way to Australia, where they started to realize if they were going to get young people in, they needed to take the music and make it more interesting. And so, you know, the first 5 years of my life, I remember everything is like, it
was all hymns.
And then by 6, it was like, our God is an awesome gaudy rain from heaven above. And there's...
I didn't know that filtered into the Catholic Church.
Oh, we lived for it.
God is an awesome God. We know
the
it.
symbols, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And the people up there are dancing and they're snapping. And we had a really young priest, Father Mark. And
this all sounds remarkably familiar.
Right?
Did you say his name was Mark?
Father Mark.
Oh, we had exactly the same.
Oh, stop.
We interviewed Mark on this podcast. He was on season 1.
Stop it.
Yeah.
He's a lovely guy. So I just rushed there. I never wanted to not go. I loved everybody there. I met my first boyfriend there.
Mm-hmm.
So I only have the best memories from those first 10 years when it comes to my childhood and my relationship to God.
Great. I'm glad to hear there was a positive beginning. Let's see if it stays that way.
Dun, dun, dun.
But we won't get there just yet.
Okay.
Tell us more about home and what it felt like for you as a kid and your experience. What do you think of when you think back to your childhood and what home was like for you?
I think of the word creativity. We grew up, I'm so lucky. I'm very close with both of my parents. The 5 of us were such a unit. But when I think about my childhood, I think of our hands. We were making everything. My mom made all of our clothes. My dad was definitely if you want it, let me make it for you kind of guy. And they decided really early on, we are going to be great parents. My mom in particular had a crappy upbringing and terrible role models. And she was like, not for my kids, not me.
That's
watch
so great.
me do this.
Yeah.
She decided you're going to feel safe all the time. There will be no physical violence. There will be constant love. And so naturally, I didn't know any of this, but when you're a kid and you have all of that and then you grow up and you think, that was pretty good. It's only then that you learn what she went through and think, wow, how fantastic. And so for me, that's what I'm trying to model.
Beautiful.
Family is the most important thing. And then everything else comes after. And it's funny, I really wanted them to care more about work. And now I'm at a stage in my life where I could lose my job today and be just totally fine as long as I have my husband and my kids. And I think that's them.
That's how lovely to hear that.
Stunning. I'd also love to hear more about your siblings as well. Obviously, we're running this podcast together as brothers.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about the relationship you had with your siblings?
Yeah, my brother is my emotional trigger. We're really close. And when I think of him, I just think of protector. Brother bear is what we call each other. We shared a room. We were incredibly close in age. We liked everything the same. We just got along. And so I think of my childhood and I just think of us always together. We were wearing matching clothes. We were getting the same exact presents. And we're really, really similar. He's freaking funny and he's super smart.
Did he have the bowl cut as well?
I'm sure. He had a weird cowlick, so he couldn't have the perfect bowl cut.
We did
but
too.
She still probably just put the bowl on his head after she took mine off.
I think we're going to have to compare family photos because we have matching bowl cuts.
I got
so
some
many
to
of
come.
our 90s photos.
I brought the photos.
Oh, great. Show us.
You want to see?
More.
You want to see the? I'll show you the family photo. So this is me and my brother Steven. I think it's a perfect example of matching clothes always.
White
always.
shorts, blue
100%
polo tops that I think they are.
And I'm bigger
Uh-huh.
by just a little bit, but he would absolutely take all of my clothes right away. This is the 3 of us. I think that bowl cut is just
that's sharp.
as good as a bowl cut can possibly get. That popcorn bowl is an unpaid actor in this photo.
This is a Christmas photo.
This is a Christmas photo, very Americana. He had his hair gelled back. And the other photo I'll show you, because it feels really relevant to the way that I describe my family and this time in my life, is this Halloween picture. So
is that a toilet?
it's a toilet. Yeah, so I'm a toilet. I love this story and I love this picture. And it's because my parents asked us what we wanted to be for Halloween. And I said toilet. Why? I'm not sure. I'm weird. But it's how they responded that is so special to me and describes them so perfectly. It was absolutely, of course, get out the notebook right now. But when I think of that outfit and I think of walking around the neighborhood, hundreds of kids and every person being wow, that is so cool. You're a toilet. How interesting, how different. Who made that? My dad did. I had an idea, a silly idea. It would have been so much easier for them to go out and buy something or be come on, can't you just wear this other thing? But that was them. Yes, and let's figure it out. And so I got in the car with my dad 12 minutes after the sketch was drawn and we went to our version of Bunnings, which is called Home Depot. And we were just figuring it out, getting the paint and getting the toilet seat.
And perhaps the genesis of your new hit song.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
That is the backstory. Right there.
It could be. So far everything's sounding really rosy. And it's it's actually great to hear that. I mean, we just know, from experience, even on this podcast, like some people just have such bad luck with the families they're born into. But you've had good luck, and you're thinking back to this beautiful, connected, almost Hollywood-esque family. I mean, I was even picturing like that scene from E.T. when all the kids are like walking around, Halloween. Have you seen that movie, E.T.?
I have.
The scene I'm talking about? That's so foreign to us because we didn't grow up with Halloween.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, God, that looks so great. And you had that.
Totally.
So, I'm a little bit jealous, but that's all great. But I know there must have been hardship as well. And you've told us that you had the realization you were gay at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
Can we hear that story?
Sure.
What was that journey like for you, and when did you realize you were, and how did that impact this kind of beautiful, perfect beginning?
Yeah. I found out I was gay, from other people telling me first. So like the word, I remember sitting at church in a circle, and they were passing around a sin card that had been laminated that like everyone was going to get access to. And I think we were all going to bring it home, and then it would mean that we knew what all the sins were. And it's getting passed around, and one of the girls or one of the boys says to one of the girls, "What is that word?" And she says, homosexual. And then he goes, "Oh, what Sean is." So before I knew like what the word was, what it meant, I knew that I was it. And so I have a real clear memory of just wishing that the world would implode and kill everyone and the card.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's just a sinkhole right over there, everyone will fall into it. The card will go with it, and I'll be fine, because then I won't be like, they're the only ones who know I'm whatever that thing is.
How old are you at this point?
I must have been 7 or 8, like around that age.
And you internalized that as a negative label.
I knew it was bad. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's on the sin card, right? So
it can't be good.
it's there with murder and theft and other things, right?
And so like you open the dictionary and you see what that word is, and you scroll down, and that's how I discovered what the word was and what people thought I was before I was. I don't have any memories really of lusting for boys, but when I saw it, I instantly knew I was that thing. I was like, yep, because I wanted to be close to all the boys around me. I had relationships with all of my best friends that were very physical. And so when I saw it and thought of the thoughts I had, they weren't sexual, but they were definitely like, yeah, I like boys for sure. So I don't think it like hit me, other than the fact that I started to become quite obsessed with what that meant. So then your ears are up and you're waiting for other people to talk about it, and you're asking questions of friends like, have you ever heard of what a homosexual is? Oh, okay, interesting. And is that a good thing or a bad? Oh, it's a bad thing. Got it. And at such a young age, learning gay equals AIDS, and AIDS equals death. So at 7 or 8 years old, I was like, welp, you're done for. You're not going to make it. Like,
I mean, that was the societal message, but the church message arguably is even worse.
Way worse. That yellow laminated card that I had in my Bible on the side of my bed next to my rosary absolutely had the word. And so around that time, it's really 10. So there's like a big chunk of a couple.
Sorry, that sin card, you took it home.
Oh yeah, you had to. They
And
were passing them around
you
for
had
us.
it up in your room.
Yeah, yellow laminated. It looked exactly like this. I remember it. I'll never forget it.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, it was like right at the bottom. They like had, huge list. We've all heard them.
So the universe didn't swallow it. The universe put it in your bedroom.
Oh, you had to bring it home. And I talked about it in the car with my parents. And
Well, I'm curious about that then. What was the discussion like with your parents? You said your mum thought she knew from an early age that you were gay. What was their response then to that church messaging, and what was the internal home discussion?
I remember in the car, I was never going to say that word. I wasn't dumb. I was like, I can't put attention on it. So what I'll do instead is be like, how should we approach this card? Like, what are we supposed to do with this? And because I had good Christian parents, my mom said, listen, there's a lot in the Bible that a bunch of people agree with, and there are parts of it that people don't. In our family, we focus on the positives, and there are negatives that you can leave outside of this home. So it's tricky. My whole life is this push and pull of stepping back into my home and feeling really comfortable, but the knowledge of what was happening outside the home always overwhelmed any of the positivity. And also at that young age, I started to not believe them. I think of 10 as the time where just everything changes. We move to a new town. I confirm in my head that the thing that people think I am is real. I decide I'm going to hell all at the same time. So like when I think of moving to this new bedroom, I think of my bedroom becoming a place that I was very afraid of, because what it meant was I was alone with my Bible and my rosary and my thoughts. And for the first time ever in my life, the thoughts turn from childhood glee with a little stress sprinkled to a constant stream of what do you have to do to not go to hell? Like constant. I stopped sleeping. I couldn't. It was like, just, you got to pray as much as you can.
And what would you tell yourself was the solution? How would you avoid hell?
Pray the gay away. Don't act on whatever that is as your thoughts come into your head of thinking that a boy might be cute or wanting to have a boyfriend or whatever, that you needed to suppress it and pray again. I also started to go, you can play this game. You want what your parents have. So you want to get married and you want to have kids. And that's not possible for gay people. And you don't want to die. And you definitely don't want to go to hell for eternity. So
that's a lot for a 10-year-old to be thinking about.
Absolutely. Too much on a little kid's shoulders, for sure.
From a place that had represented safety and fun and warmth and connection and family.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's hell.
Yeah. And as an adult, I think, what a waste of time, because if my parents knew, they would not have allowed that.
And what do you mean by that?
If my parents knew what was happening in that room when the door shut every night, if they knew where the anxiety was coming from, if they knew the thoughts in my head, it just like they wouldn't have allowed it. They would have left the church. They would have told me, they would have ripped the Bible up in front of my face. They had never given me, all the way up until then and every day afterwards, they've never given me any other example of who they would have been. They have constantly showed me who they are. The place they took me to and the book they gave me and said they believed in didn't help their case, but I had no reason to believe outside of that they couldn't have made things better. But I just decided that if I went to hell, everyone would too. I don't know where that came from, but I was like, if this happens to me, I'm bringing everyone down with me.
And did you have a plan?
No, I was 10.
I was wondering if there was some sort of evil Machiavellian thing going on.
No, I don't even know where it came from, because there's nowhere in the Bible does it say like, and a sinner shall drag down their family who are not sinners. But I just decided, like, if I act on this.
But I kind of get it, like from a like just not wanting to be alone point of view. It's like, oh, if I gotta go, everyone come with me, please.
Yeah, eternity with the people you love most is what you hear is the end goal.
Yeah.
So like,
It's really sad. This is the insidious thing of these simple ideas like heaven and hell that can work effectively, you would say, in our Sunday schools that we all attended as little ones. But when they take root as you're growing up, we had similar experiences where it's just like those ideas have a limit and they can really cause harm. And it's just very sad to think of you in that room grappling with that. You were a very bright boy, so you were understanding these things on a different level and keep taking us through this time and how that changed as you got older as well.
Yeah. Life got pretty dark pretty quick. So I started to exhibit signs of anxiety that manifested itself in mini panic attacks and social anxiety of not really being capable or wanting to go places. I quit dance, the one thing I loved more than anything, because I just couldn't be the faggot in the dance costume. And so I walked away from the thing I loved the most. I started to put on a show. I adapted a lower voice. I started to get girlfriends, like as many as I possibly could, and took it much further than I should have to prove a point. I wanted to be a man. And so I just started to like bury quickly the reality of who I was, which was like a quite camp Disney loving boy, to, trying to be a masculine boy.
Did it work socially?
Yeah, I think it did. Like, I was on the football team and I played a lot of sports. Listen, I still got made fun of. I was still singing in the choir. So like moments happened, but I had real relationships with women. The bullying definitely decreased. And I think what mattered to me at the time was my peers leaving me alone.
Mm-hmm.
So
what about going to church? What was that like for you during this period where you were convinced you were going to hell?
I probably threw myself into church like more than any kid. I was the one who loved it. I was the one who wanted to be the Eucharistic minister right away. I wanted all of the solos. Anytime they wanted a person to read or talk, it was like, vroom, hand up. And it makes so much sense now as an adult why that would be the case. I decided I was going to be a priest then.
All in.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, that was my way to not die. Like, if I'm a priest, then I can't have sex. And if I don't have sex, then I won't act on this thing. And if I don't act on this thing, I'm going to heaven, baby. And I just remember the look in everyone's eyes when I would say that. And they're like, wow, Sean, God loves you more than he loves anyone. It is so clear. You have the voice of an angel. God gave you that voice.
But what was going on internally?
Yeah, do whatever it takes so that you don't die. Force yourself to like women. Keep praying, keep praying. Pray the gay away. Every night, all night, pray. Every thought you have of a boy being attractive or interesting or exciting or wanting to hang out with them, that's a rosary tonight. So if you have 6 thoughts, you're doing that rosary until you wake up in the morning. It became, I have OCD and a lot of my kind of compulsions are with my fingers. And that's when it began. It was just like boom, 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 rosary, pray, 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 flick, 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 fall asleep, flick under the pillow, like just keep going and keep going. And if there's anyone he's going to change, it's you, baby, because you're all in.
That sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering about the impact of that, right? How long did you do that for? How many years was that your reality?
So 5 years of it nonstop. So like 10 to 15, it's pretty hardcore. The impact is I started cutting myself when I was 12.
Did your parents know?
They found out when I was 15 because I passed out, and then I needed to go to a hospital. And then at the time, the recommendation was that they check me every day. So I would have to go into my parents' room and take down my clothes and show them to make sure that they could be up to speed on what was happening. It was pretty troubling.
And did they understand the thought pattern that you were going through?
No. So my mom knew the entire time. Like, looking back on it, all of the things that she was saying to me were so obviously an ally just trying to be like, it's okay. She would be like, if there's anything you want to tell me, you don't have to be in a relationship with Sarah. What do you think of Michael? Like, she was doing all the things she needed to do to try to get me to be honest. But I had already decided the path. And
she didn't know how you were torturing yourself.
Not at all. And she did the right thing. She put me in therapy. In a time when that was not a thing you did unless your parents had died, like, or got divorced. I was a young ass 12-year-old in therapy, but the why was never disclosed because I lied. Like, I was never going to tell the therapist in my little town that I was gay, but I could tell her I'm overwhelmed by anything. And then you just start to lie. You're already lying every day because you're dropping your voice every time you talk and pretending you like girls. Yeah, tits. And then on top of that, you're lying in therapy, in private. So then everything becomes a lie. I became a horrible liar. Like, I didn't know what was real because the fake version of me just became who Sean was. And so they tried really hard. We tried medicine to try to figure out if we could get me to just like sleep and function.
And what about your brother? You described your closeness. Did he see through the lies?
Yeah, that's so interesting. We've talked a lot about it, and the stories he has to tell me are about how hard it was to be the brother of that kid in a small town. And I often think when I hear the stories and the emotions that this is what I'm telling you is really hard. Being a little brother and a little sister to an older boy dealing with that is so hard. You love your older brother so much, and everyone is making fun of him. And it was really tricky on them. Yeah.
The image of you just repressing for those critical developmental years, holding it in, doing it on your own, so lonely and tortured and convinced you were broken. The tension, I can just imagine, is building and building and building, to the extent that you're self-harming. Where's the explosion? How does it end? Where's the relief? What happens?
The relief happens at 15. So I had explored, like just walking away from the church, I had explored the possibility of coming out, getting kicked out, and killing myself. I just kind of like worked through all of the options. And I had friends and an aunt who didn't seem wrapped up in church. I had an aunt who made it very clear, directly in my eyes, that she knew exactly who I was. She loved me completely. And even though she didn't want to overstep, she knew that I was going to be totally fine. And so I told her before my mom and before my brother and before my friends as a safety blanket. And she went, that's great. And like, what do you want for breakfast?
How did that feel?
Oh my God, it felt fantastic. The only thing I will say about that coming out and every coming out that came afterwards was it was never as big of a deal to them as it was to me.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, if you could see the slashes on my legs, you would be celebrating the fact that I've just told you this or punching me in the face. It's what I wanted. I wanted to be hit, kicked out of the house and homeless, or lifted in the air and a party thrown for me.
Yeah,
and then the nicest reaction ever, like, that's great. We love you so much. I was like, that's it? You mean I didn't have to do what I've been doing for the last 5 years? Kind of vibe. But she was the start of me realizing, and then telling my best friend's mom, who was Jewish, and her just being like really cool about it. And then telling my brother and him being like, okay, cool. Don't worry, I knew. And then just like, you know, tipping my toes. But the breaking moment is writing a letter to my mom, specifically in the middle of the night, listening.
Nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah. I had written it. When I say thousands of times, I am not exaggerating. And I want to paint a picture like I've never painted before because it's been recently in my head. I would write the letter word for word the way I had written it the night before. And then I would rip it in half, and then I would rip it again until they were so small that that the words weren't legible. And then I would break them up into piles, and then I would put 1 off the back of my roof, 6 in the toilet that I would flush, 1 down the sink with mashed potatoes. This is in the middle of the night. Everyone's sleeping. Like, I would make sure that no one could ever put this letter together because it's
the level of your distress.
Oh, it's, you know, and I would do this night after night after night until I felt it was going to be perfect. So I'm in my bedroom. I'm 15. I have a girlfriend, lovely girlfriend named Sarah. Love her. Shout out to Sarah. And I remember thinking, like, just get it over with. If your dad's going to punch you in the face, you can cop it. Just get it over with. And then whatever happens afterwards, at least it will be over and you won't be writing this stupid letter every single night. So I folded it up and I knocked on her door and I opened it. My hope to God was that my dad would be sleeping. I just needed her to be awake. I just needed her to be awake because I thought she's, if anyone's going to handle this well, it's going to be her. So I slowly inched the door, and all the way at the end of her bedroom, it's a huge hallway, is this little light, and she's tapping. It's probably 11 o'clock at night or something. She like peers her little head over. She's like, are you okay? And so I walked up to her and I had the letter and I was shaking and I couldn't get the words out But I said, I wrote this letter and I just have to tell you, I'm gay. And the flood works. Yeah. I'm sobbing. And she just threw her laptop over, hit my dad. He goes, whoa, what's happening? What's happening? And she's like, Steve, Sean has something to tell us. I was like, no. I was like, Dad, I'm gay. And he said, yeah, we always knew. And rolled over and went to bed. And that definitely hurt. But she grabbed me really tight and said, thank you so much for telling me. I love you more than anything in the world. There's nothing that you could ever do wrong that will change that. I've got you. And I remember I remember thinking, thank God. That's so great. I just wanted some of the pain off of my shoulders and onto someone else. And she was like, I got you.
Oh, after everything you'd been going through for so many years, that must have just been
really great.
Absolutely profound.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was really
It
great.
also sounds consistent with the mum that you described.
Yeah.
Totally consistent.
What
she
a
nailed
legend.
it. What a great way to respond. She didn't make it about herself. She didn't say, we always knew. No offense to my dad. I love him.
Yeah.
They didn't know better. But I asked her and she was like, I almost left him after that. Like I was pissed because
we missed the mark. Yeah.
We had been talking about it, which without my knowledge, since you were 3, we knew the whole time. We had been preparing. We had been thinking of what we would say. I had been practicing. I was your mama bear. And when you were ready, if you were ready, I was going to know how to handle it. She felt, I got this. And we're really close. Yeah, he regrets it. He only had the tools in his tool belt. He tried the best that he could. He had a dad who didn't even tell me loved him. Like, this is tricky territory for him.
Was he just really sleepy?
Maybe he was exhausted. I don't know.
It sounds like it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because very shortly after, he was like, you like that guy? What do you think about that guy? So like, again, he gave that instant, I hated it. I was really upset. But I do remember my mom going, do you want to talk about it? Do you want me to get up? And I said, no, I just want to go to bed. And I went to the end of the hallway and I got in my bed and I fell asleep for the first time, probably in years. Just like slept and woke up with a smile on my face. And I remember my mom holding my hand at breakfast and saying, how can I help you? Who are we going to tell? How are we going to tell? Do you want me to do it? And she just took all the weight off my shoulders. She's like, I got the whole family. I'll do the whole family if you want. So I didn't have to tell anybody. I didn't have to deal with them being homophobic. I didn't have to deal with any of that. Yeah, she is a badass.
She sounds like a champion.
Stepped up.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that story. That I just know that there'll be a lot of people listening, who might have kids that are going through it or have gone through it, or they might be feeling the same way, or even young people that are listening, and just what a profound example of trusting, right? The people that you love and sharing, and just this profound, the lightness that you got as a result.
Yeah.
So relieved that that's how it went down for you.
Thanks. Me too.
So what followed after? What did this mean?
It was a little bit more complicated than I would have liked, but expected in many ways. Like, I'm a member of the church, so I had to navigate that. I have a lot of family and friends who are incredibly religious, so I had to navigate that. And then I had to navigate the reality of being a kid who was going to come out of the closet in high school, who had a girlfriend. I'm just going to have to navigate all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was finally just like confirmation of what everyone already knew. And I think also I've always had a way with words or confidence in my ability to communicate. And my dad was like, I want to teach you how to fight just in case. And I want to teach you what to say just in case. So when people were like, were you gay? I'd be like, yeah, Ben. Anything else stupid to say? Like I knew how to handle it. Yes, I am. And then they didn't have anything on me.
Yeah.
And then when they didn't have anything on me, they just went to other people. They focused on closeted people or people with glasses or a girl in a wheelchair. They just moved on to other people because it didn't work. I also remember around that time deciding, I don't think that God is real. And when I started to question that, all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. None of this mattered. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, these people who think you're going to hell, like, I don't know that you believe it in hell. I don't think you believe in that. Your parents do, but I don't know that you do. And so if I'm a sinner, it's like, that's cool that you think I am, but I don't think I am. And I started to figure that out around 15. Like, this doesn't have the same weight that it used to. I also have to acknowledge the very beautiful elephant in the room, very gay elephant in the room, which is the world started to change right then.
Right.
You know, it's 1998 or something. And all of a sudden, click on television, boom, Ellen. Click on a movie, boom. It's like, there's a gay person and there's a gay person and they seem pretty happy and she's a celebrity and he's a celebrity. Maybe this little town and this church are not the only thing.
Yeah.
Maybe there's other people that are like me. I didn't have access to them. My mom didn't have access to them. there wasn't examples, and then there was. And so all of a sudden the fear and the concern, because when you're 10, you're the only one. You know, you and a couple other people is the reason the word homosexual made it to the sin list, but it was just me. And in my town, that was true until it wasn't. Until I started to explore my sexuality, until I found other boys like me, until I went on the internet and got AIM and realized there was entire group chats of gay people and there was 50,000 on the AIM, whatever. And I just, all of a sudden the fears start to kind of dissipate. And then you get even a little bit older and then you really discover gay people, like actually discover people who are older and are they in a relationship? What the
You didn't even think that was possible back then.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering through this process then, as you're discovering yourself and becoming more comfortable expressing it, is that kind of that childhood joy you described earlier, the dancing boy who was just so content in himself and expressive, is he re-emerging?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure if he ever came back fully until maybe my children were born, because my voice permanently was altered and my interests were affected by the altering. And so it's hard to unpick when you're a queer person or anyone who's different who you really are, because we can't really put our finger on all of the different inputs that change who we become. And so I went back to dance. So that's amazing. Decided to be a dancer and go to university to be a dancer. And so that obviously is a massive win for little Sean. And that little picture that I showed, like, yeah, hey, you found it again. But I had been gone for a while.
Well, 5 years of trauma, really. I mean, those night terrors that you described, I can't help but think they've had a significant impact on your psyche.
I mean, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm still on anxiety medication. Like, it's all still there. It's absolutely all still there. I think it took, going away to college and then moving to New York City and really being away from the bubble and far away from the familial unit, and then walking down the street and seeing gay people with kids and lesbians holding hands and kissing and laws changing. It was like so small, little by little by little by little, before one day you just are like actually happy being the thing that you thought was going to kill you. And that stretches across such a long period of time that it's tricky to unpick.
So tell us then about that experience, right? So over in New York, that's where you met your now husband.
That's right.
Josh.
Yeah.
So tell us about that period of your life, right? Unless there were more stories that you wanted to cover before we go there.
My last years of high school were great. I was prom king. I was homecoming king. A little gay kid made that happen by being himself. And so when I got to college, I thought, oh, cool, you can just be yourself. And with that came boyfriends, like proper, real boyfriends, long-term romantic, experiencing what everyone else got to experience. And then that layers over with the laws changing and it becoming legal in my state and then all of the other states.
You're talking about marriage?
Marriage, yeah. And so you're learning to love yourself, be yourself. The world is changing right in front of your eyes. Everyone in my family by then is fully comfortable and on board. They had had enough years to kind of deal with it on their own time. So by the time I moved to New York, I had really had, a big chunk of time to kind of figure that out. So when I moved to New York and I met Josh, who was 10 years older than me, I really felt kind of fully formed and confident that I was going to live a good life, that I was going to make it, that I wasn't going to hell, that wasn't a thing that mattered to me, and that I was like ready to like find love. I didn't necessarily know that I would be here with children, but I thought, oh, you'll find a life with a man and that will happen for you and your parents will be cool and they'll probably even show up at the wedding if it happens.
Well, can we talk about kids? Because I understand when you were younger, you had that dream and then it went away for a long time. Can you take us back to that, like back to childhood when you had that dream and the vision of what you wanted or wished could happen for you?
Yeah. It's an interesting little roller coaster ride when I think about the connection to parenthood, because some of my earliest memories that are mine, that are like not other people's, are like an obsession with mothers. I'm obviously obsessed with my mom, as everyone listening has learned. I had a really great mother, and she had a really great mother who I'm incredibly close with, my abuela. And my dad had a really great mother. And I just had all these really good role models around me. And I was obsessed with women in television. I just like loved them. I loved Mrs. Potts and Beauty and the Beast and Carol Brady. And I just like, I was like weirdly drawn to them. And I remember early on thinking, if I had a choice between going to work, coming home, drinking beer and watching football, which was very much the stereotype of the time, but also pretty much my dad. Like, he was an amazing dude, but like, he went to work, he came back, he watched the game. It was like, he was a man building stuff, or packing the lunches, getting the costumes ready, thinking the night before about what the kids needed the next day, picking out the backpacks. I wanted that one. Like, I didn't know about gender or sexuality. None of that meant anything to me, but I thought if I had a choice, I wanted to be the mom. Like, that seemed pretty cool. And then when I realized I was gay, I just buried that. Of course I did. Like, are you joking me? Like, you will not have kids, and that's okay. But what you're going to need to do to survive, because it's obviously not okay, is decide to make a comedic routine that children were just for straight breeders and that you never wanted them. That's ridiculous. Why would you want disgusting, dirty, expensive monsters in your life? I would always say this. It became where my comedy came from, was like, I'm going to be in Mykonos and I'm going to be sipping champagne while you're changing a nappy. It was like my thing. It was like, ha, 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 ha. And everyone laughed and everyone's like, oh, you're so funny.
Did you believe that self-talk, or did you know deep down it's like, oh, this is
I think I did believe it. Like, I didn't know what was real and fake, so I could convince myself of anything. It took decades of work and therapy to get back to like what is true and what is not. So I just decided that that was what was real, and it was as real as heaven and hell. Like, I'm not having kids. That's not happening. That's for straight people. And it took falling in love with Josh for him to be like, it doesn't seem real. Your eyes twitching. I saw you crying at that movie. You're really good with kids. Like, are you sure? It definitely took him shaking my entire existence to be like, okay, maybe I should revisit that little picture of that boy and figuring that out.
Tell us your story. How did you come to be a dad?
So when my husband and I fell in love in New York, he wanted kids. You know, it was like, he came out later in life. He didn't live a life of suppressed trauma. He wasn't raised in the Catholic Church. So he didn't have all the baggage or as much of it as I did. And so, yeah, he wanted to have kids for sure. And I was like, pick someone else, buddy. I remember being like, honestly, like, this could be it. Like, maybe we should stop dating. But
wow, you really believed it.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids' conversation is before marriage then?
Yeah. Yeah. And he loved me so much, which makes so much sense because I'm really lovable. He loved me so much. And he was like, okay, well, I want him. So I'll learn to not need to have kids. So this is over years of like falling in love with me and going, okay, well, you just have to reimagine your life. That's what he did. And that's his story to tell. But, you know, he started to reimagine a life without children, and then he fell in love with that life. Then we get married. And as soon as we get married and I'm looking out at the audience in front of me and I'm saying my speech, a complete unprepared speech of my entire life, I thought this moment was not going to happen for me. I wasn't even sure if I would make it here. And now I'm here and I'm looking out in this audience of a sea of people who love me, and everyone I know, every member of my family, everyone is here. And I think, what else that you think's not possible actually is? And I remember going, you're going to fucking have a kid, dude. Like, right then. I told him in the hotel bed that night, I want to have kids. He was like, what? I don't want kids anymore. I've changed my whole life. And I was like, it has to happen. He was like, you're crazy. We started the adoption journey 4 days after we got married. Like, going to we were like, okay, let's go to the adoption stuff. Like, let's figure this out. I went as if I had never ever dealt with any negativity in my life. The world had changed. It was accepting. There was adoption agencies for gay people. There were Neil Patrick Harris had gay people on TV. I was like, let's do it, baby. I just chucked myself into it. He was so supportive. So I thought we would adopt. That was what we thought we would do.
But that's not what ended up happening.
That's correct. So I had a girlfriend at university Like, she posted that she was pregnant. And so I did what any person does on social media when someone announces they're pregnant. They, congratulations, like, share, whatever. Sent her a message. I was like, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. I can't believe you had 3 babies already and you're only 24, 26. And she said, thank you so much. It's not my kid. I was like, well, what? She's like, I'm a surrogate. Googles what's a surrogate. I had no idea what a surrogate was. I think of myself as a pretty bright kid. No idea. That just passed
back to
me
the
by.
library. Yeah.
Literally. Well, we had Google now. I was like, Google, what's a surrogate?
Yeah.
Saw what a surrogate was.
Hadn't that episode of Friends come out yet?
I did not watch Friends, and nor have I.
Oh, you don't know Phoebe's story?
I don't. I mean, I know now I do.
Yeah.
But I did not at the time. But it planted a seed in my head. Surrogacy, IVF, combining them together. You can have a child that is genetically linked to you and your partner. Holy shit. I remember thinking, that is exactly what I'm going to do. I just decided. I'm not like a big manifester person. I'm more like strategic planner. But I was like, I manifested that shit. I was like, and this is what you will be doing. And I was not subtle about it. I called my sister. I called my cousin. I called my best friend. Anyone who had a vagina, I was like, so guess what's possible? They were like, whoa. I remember I told my mom because there were like stories of moms helping. I was just like, are your eggs still good? Like, could you help me? She's like, I'm really sorry, sweetie. No, but I would, but no. And so a year went by. A year went by of going to adoption agencies, sessions, learning about fostering. So we decided we would adopt. And if the surrogacy thing was possible, like if someone close to me was willing, if I could have some genetic component through like a cousin or a sibling or an aunt, like if one crazy woman in my life was like me, then we would pursue that. But if not, we would do adoption. And a year later, almost to the day on New Year's, I got a phone call from a member of my family who I won't disclose, but she's obviously a woman close to me, genetically close to me, who was like, I want to give you my eggs. And then once you get that phone call, you're like, I have won the lottery. I was born at the perfect time in history. I've navigated a pretty crappy couple of years. You fell in love, then marriage equality happens. Now you want to have kids and the world is ready for it. And here's this option. And here's this person who wants to give this selfless, gorgeous gift. And there are surrogacy agencies all across the country now. And it's legal in America. And 4 months later, we were pregnant. Like wham, bam, bam. As if it was all meant to be. So yeah, I have boy-girl twins who are genetically connected to me and to my husband. And that is really cool. Very special.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is profound, isn't it? Thinking about the trajectory of your life and the trajectory of culture. That must be strange to consider. Like that for the entirety of human history, people who've been gay who might have wanted exactly what you have now couldn't do it.
Yeah. You know, I don't pray. I don't have that relationship. But when I talk to myself in my head, I frequently go, holy shit. What a random gamble to be born right now. I have everything I have ever wanted that anyone has just been given to them happen in my lifetime. And I've been able to navigate it surrounded by people who support me. When it gets really hard, I quite literally think of my gay ancestors who did it alone, in isolation, who were persecuted, who were killed, who were thrown in jail, who never got to experience love, who never got to experience marrying the love of their life, who had to lie. And I don't have to do any of that. That's wild. And our kids' generation are growing up thinking me on my ass on TV and radio and in magazines, that they might not think it's normal, but that it exists, that it's an option, that it's possible, and that I'm happy. Like, that's so cool.
It comes to mind when you were talking back to your early childhood, how pure that was. To me, it feels like you've come full circle back to a kind of purity again.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And is there a sense of self-actualizing around that, or a connection back to that kid, that 5-year-old in that photo that you showed us?
I've been doing a lot of work. I have never stopped going in therapy since I first brought it up to you. So I've been going since I was 10. That's a long time to be working the muscle of communication, self-care, and work. Like putting in the work of revisiting that time and really thinking about it and talking about it and writing about it. And I feel really connected to that kid. And in many ways, my entire career, the strategy behind it, which is on paper, is to revisit him. I have that picture on the top of my strategy document that is linked in my daily calendar as a reminder that you have access to that you can bring joy and excitement and silliness to work, that you can be that kid who always wanted to kind of be a star and a ham and a flirt and a dancer and a singer and a jokester and like make a living out of it. And all of it is in hopes of like rewriting that script and making up for lost time.
It's beautiful to hear it. You know, we want everyone to be their most authentic self and achieve that sense of inner contentment, peace, and cohesion that I think you've achieved. It's very lovely to hear that. And I think quite an inspiring story for people to listen to. So thank you very much for sharing it with us.
I'd love also to hear just a little bit more about being a dad and what that's meant to you. I was reflecting earlier, I loved your memoir, but one of my absolute favorite bits several moments made me cry. But this one made me cry on the first day of being a dad when a stranger came up to you and said, "God bless you." Yeah. Do you want to tell us that story and what that meant to you?
I completely forgot about that. It's been so long since I wrote it or read it.
That moment really impacted me.
Wow. That's great. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. My relationship to the church is complicated. I was asked to leave, and so my family left with me. And with that, we all walked away from the church for a really long time. And my family is back and they're involved again. But, you know, they walked away in solidarity and did not go back for like a decade and a half, every one of them. I'm really thankful of that.
Yeah, good on them.
Yeah, they did the right thing for me. But I have always had a massive chip on my shoulder, and I think it is fair to say I probably will have one for the rest of my life. And so when someone said the most beautiful, nice, easy, simple, passive thing you can say, which is like, "God bless you and your beautiful daughter," I was pissed. I was like, fuck you. I don't want your blessing. I definitely don't want your God. Do you know what that fucker has done to me? I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but like,
you are.
I was pissed. I hated her and I hated the church and I was furious. I didn't do this for you and your stupid God. He ruined my life. I tried to kill myself a bunch. Like I tortured my body like because of this stupid dude. Like your make-believe fantasy person that you think I want to be blessed by right now. I don't want your blessing. I want nothing to do with your God. Then I calmed down. My husband was like, "I really think she's just trying to be nice." And it took work in therapy and writing my memoir to come to terms with the fact that she's just using the tool belt that she has wrapped around her waist and trying to be nice. And I can learn, love and respect and care for people who love that God and love that church and love that Bible. And I think that journey allowed, I hope, my family to reconnect with God. You know, my sister and my mom, my sister-in-law, they all have a great relationship. To be a godfather to my niece, and to do the work I wanted to do, to go, well, you really liked your upbringing. You loved your first 10 years. You got a lot out of it. Like at my core, my value system is that of a good Christian boy. I'm really thankful for that. So how can I revisit that? Is it possible? What am I going to give my kids?
Well, it just sounds like the journey towards peace, right? Which
that's
I
the
think
hope.
Is what the church is about at some level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's lovely. I mean, just looking for you have every right to stay angry if you want to. But I think at a certain point you realize you're the one carrying the burden of that pain. And so you get to choose what you want to do with it. So the fact that you're redirecting it to something more like love, well, it's better for you, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I have been thinking a lot recently. The God that my mom believes in would love the shit out of me. The God my mom believes in would like be holding hands with trans people and walking like, and he wouldn't vote for Trump. Like the God my mom believes in would be like, here's your seat in heaven, bro. I don't have to believe in that God. But when I choose to think about her version, it definitely brings back some joy and helps rewrite the childhood I had. Because for a while I thought, you did this to me. You put me in that church. You're the ones who made me read the Bible. You bought me the rosary. You put me in harm's way. And you knew I was gay the whole time. What's that about? And And now I don't have any of that. Like it is nowhere to be found.
Congratulations. That's a great achievement.
Thank you, therapy.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I got to say, I'm really looking forward to, you're happy to read a letter to your child self at the end of this episode?
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to hearing that, given just your insight and perspective and your story. It's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing it. And thanks for coming to talk to us today.
Thank you. This was like the highlight of my year.
Oh, look, it's such an honor to have you here sharing that story. It means the world to us. So thank you, Sean. All right, James, what a beautiful man and a beautiful story. That was a real treat to hear, Sean.
Yeah.
We know, of course, that the mental health outcomes for people of the LGBTQ plus community are so much worse. Why don't you explore that a little for us and tell us why that is?
Yeah, I think it's a risk and protective factors thing, and that's true for everybody. When we're growing up, it's relevant. What are the factors that support us versus create risk in our lives? But for this community in particular, I think there's so much going on all at once, internally and externally in the culture around us with regards to views. And people do hold very strong views about this community. So, yeah, I think there's a lot going on. And Sean demonstrated that, the complexity of the contrast, I think you'd say, between what his family was like and what his church was like.
So the main risk you're talking about here is the social messaging and the judgment?
Yeah, in terms of what is internalized and what you take to heart and what you, I guess, bind with your sense of who you are and your worth.
Yeah. Just in Sean's case, it was very striking, wasn't it? The fact that the judgmental messaging came from a place that had been such a source of comfort for him. It was very devastating to think that the church really was a safe place and somewhere he belonged and felt accepted until he didn't.
Yeah, the conversation took a pretty sharp left turn, didn't it? Like early on, he was speaking about his love of the church and his beautiful home and took that little card home that said, you're a sinner, and he kept it by his bed. There was something about that and the symbolism of this pain that was literal on this card by his bed, disrupting his sleep for 5 years? I think between the age of 10 and 15, he was really suffering.
And of course, some of those obsessive tendencies developed during that stage. Is that, would you say, a fairly common outcome of that kind of stress?
It's an outcome. I mean, it's a pronounced form of anxiety that's common when people are really suffering and there's no outlet. I think the sense of like a pressure cooker, or sometimes I say with clients, like a balloon that's getting filled up and up and up. And when we don't have an outlet for those emotions, the natural endpoint is that it bursts.
Yeah.
And so I think what we see with Sean throughout that period is he's internalized this idea that I'm sinful and I'm going to hell. And that's such a shameful, powerful idea for a child to take on board that came from, as you said, his place of safety in the church. Not reinforced at home, but he wasn't sharing it at home because he didn't think he could. He was convinced that if he did share that, he would be judged and it would only amplify that pain.
Yeah.
So he held on to it, and many, many young people do who are going through this. What we know is that recognizing that you are gay or that you are gender diverse is something that happens generally, progressively for people. It's not something that happens straight away. There's a process that happens. And for that to happen healthily, we need protective and healthy scaffolding around us.
Tell me about the process then. What are the stages as you see them?
Well, I think the process is relatively simple in the fact that we need to provide a safe place for young people to be able to explore these feelings and to talk about that and to feel validated and encouraged and not judged. Simple. But a lot of people don't do it because we get in our own heads and we assume that if I were to express this, it's going to be a catastrophe. You can see in Sean's case, these ideas just going around and around in his head and the story getting worse and worse over those years.
Yeah.
To the point where he was essentially torturing himself, the sleep deprivation, the self-harm, even the suicidal ideation at its worst. This poor kid.
Yeah.
But of course, then you can see when the breakthrough happens, when he finally hands that letter over to his mum and starts to tell his story, how quickly things changed for him.
Yeah.
And that's when the protective factors became so relevant and the emergence of the beautiful person we know now starts to happen. It's, the contrast for me is what's most striking.
Absolutely, yeah. It just makes me wonder about current generations of kids growing up gay.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the culture is more accepting now. There's more secular messaging around.
Yes.
More examples in public life of gay people, and yet the mental health outcomes are still really bad.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've heard the example of a Christian judgment, of religious judgment here. But what else do you think people are going through now?
I think we've just got further to go. I definitely think it's getting better. And that was another striking thing in this conversation, wasn't it? That Sean's trajectory has happened alongside our culture, in a sense, as there's been dramatic developments in acceptance and the opening up of the conversation and challenging ourselves as a society to be better in this area. And it's happening. And the fact that, he's now a proud dad and husband and is living out this fantasy of what was not possible when he was younger and hasn't been possible for, people in this community for forever.
Yeah.
Until now. So that's pretty exciting. And I think, that gratitude of his came through, doesn't it? The kind of luck of that, in a sense.
And putting it in that historical context.
Yeah.
That's just one of the things that was in the memoir. It was in this conversation that just hits me about this story and this conversation.
Yeah.
Thinking about Sean just as an example of just all the people that have suffered, all the people that haven't had his luck.
Yeah, that's very true. But in the write-up for his memoir, there was the phrase that he's sort of become an accidental ambassador. And I think it's true. Like he just by nature of his lovely public persona and his hilarious comedy and everything else, he's out there as a really lovely example of someone who has broken through barriers and now, it just comes across as someone with such lovely self-acceptance. That's the message we want. We want young people who are going through that and suffering and going through those mental health challenges to see examples like Sean and say, it is worth it. It's worth being open and honest and sharing these feelings and knowing there is a pathway for me.
Yeah, sharing the feelings, right? So not staying on your own, not internalizing, but sharing with people that you trust.
That's right.
And that actually have your best interests at heart.
Exactly.
Plenty of people in Sean's upbringing didn't as well. So it was important that he selected the right people.
That's right. So you're highlighting that looking for people in your life that do represent that safety. Hopefully that's at home, but if it isn't, finding someone that is. But if you are listening to this and that's not you and you're going through that and you don't have those safe people, there are options. So I'll just read a couple of those out now.
Great.
There's in Australia, there's the helpline for the Rainbow Door, which is 1-800-729-367, and Q-Life, 1-800-184-527. There's also Lifeline, Beyond Blue, and Kids Helpline as options for people to reach out and get support because, we know how important this is and we need to take it seriously. So look, Nick, thank you. Another lovely episode and just, I just feel so, I don't know, it's heartwarming talking to someone like Sean.
It is heartwarming.
Yeah.
And it's going to be of no surprise to anyone listening, but Sean has written the most beautiful child letter. So we'll leave you all with that right now.
A letter to my child self. Dear Sean, how you doing, buddy? I'm going to cut right to the chase. It gets so much better. I know that's impossible for you to believe right now. I know you can't imagine a world where a boy like you, a boy who likes other boys, survives, let alone thrives. But you do. And oh, do you thrive. Right now you believe deep in your bones that you're bad, that you're evil, that you're the ultimate sinner in God's eyes. He holds a lot of power over you, doesn't he? I know that you're scared, but one day you won't be. I promise. Right now your small town is the whole world. When they whisper or they laugh, you imagine that the entire planet is whispering and laughing too. But soon, you'll discover just how big the world really is, and you'll see it, and you'll move through it, and you'll find it overwhelmingly full with people who are just like you, millions of Seans who love the way you do. You are not alone. I promise. Right now, you think marriage is off the table. Not to a man, at least. You think love and family can only happen if you lie or if you cheat the system, because let's face it, it's illegal for you. But guess what? the world changes. Laws are passed, minds open. One day you'll fall madly in love and marry the most beautiful man in the world. And more than that, you'll tell your story. You're going to write books and host podcasts and go on national TV. You'll take the things you hate most about yourself right now, and you'll turn it into a superpower. You'll be proud of who you are one day. You'll actually love it. I promise. Right now, you can't even picture having kids. The idea feels as mythical as a unicorn. But little by little, the world is going to shift. Views are going to evolve, and one day, after you get married, you'll have boy-girl twins with your husband. You'll build a community around you that loves you fiercely. And for the first 8 years of their lives, you'll feel something so foreign, it almost confuses you. Normal. Boringly, beautifully normal. I promise. Your parents, the ones you fear might disown you, they won't. Your siblings, they're not embarrassed by you. Your grandparents, your friends, your extended family, the ones you're so sure will turn their backs on you, they don't. In fact, they rise. It takes time. Give them a chance to catch up, okay? They'll get there. They'll accept and love not just you, but your husband and your children, even your uncle. I know, I promise. Life is hard right now, little guy. It's dark. And I know it feels like it will always be dark. But the light is coming right around the corner. It's warmer and it's brighter than you can possibly imagine. I promise. Hang in there, buddy. Love, future you.
You're a Good Kid is produced by Nick and James Van Kuylenberg, recorded at White Owl Sound in Melbourne, Australia, with artwork by Dirty Puppet.
We acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners of the land on which this podcast was recorded, and recognise their continuing connection to lands, waters and community.
We pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures, and to the elders past, present and emerging.
If anything in this podcast has raised concerns related to mental health, please contact your health professional, or if urgent, call Lifeline on 13 11 14.